Business and Bourbon.
From Business and Bourbon, I am Ronell Richards, and this is Day Drinking, your daily dose of business motivation, inspiration, and education. A bite-sized version of Business and Bourbon wisdom to help you on your journey to personal and professional success. Hey guys, Ronell here. So, yesterday I shared a post on LinkedIn, did a post, and this post was a picture of myself on the very last day of closing the company, RD Direct, that I had started, 13 or so years prior to. And it's kind of gone a little bit viral. And, but I kind of felt the need I wanted to communicate in another format the impact of it. Many people that, or rather, the impact on me. So many people that look at that post, there's a lot of people that are inspired by it and thank you for inspiring and sharing vulnerability and and I'm appreciative to those folks for sharing their comments. However, one of the things that's difficult for me to do in a post is so many people are commenting and is really communicate the depth of what it means and what that whole post meant. Right? That format is just not a great way for doing that. Um, so I figured that I would go a little bit deeper on this episode of Day Drinking and tell you guys the story behind the story and that the story isn't over. So again, the post, if you want to check it out, go to LinkedIn. I posted that on May 6th. And it is a picture that was taken of me on the very last day of closing my company, RD Direct. It had been a long day. Taking everything out and putting it into storage, and I had the help of a few folks, including my family, my parents. Anyway, taking everything out and putting it into storage, and which was very difficult because you're essentially taking your life's work up to that point and dismantling it and um, packing it up, and you know so the picture was taken, probably about 4 or 5 o'clock. Again, it had been all a long day, and, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't keep it together for the whole day. In fact, multiple times throughout that day, I uh, broke down and had to stop, you know, had to had some mini panic attacks and shed a couple tears. Um So when it was done, I felt like so emotionally and mentally drained, but I also felt like that at some point that this was, I guess, deep down that this was a defining moment for me, and it meant something. And hopefully, that someday I would look back on this day and not only gain some inspiration, but be reminded of that pain and that experience and would hopefully fuel me. So I had my dad take that picture. So to understand the depth of the moment and why it was so emotional and why it was so impactful, you have to understand what got us to that point. And what got us to that point was not just the quintessential story, the cliche story of, oh, I started something in my out of my house and grew it, and which I did. Um, but it's far more deeper than that. You see, I created a company that was the most diverse company probably anyone had ever seen of professionals in our industry. Black owned, female run. Um, just when people walked in the doors of that company, they'd never seen anything like that in our industry. And it was important to me. I took people that wouldn't necessarily get these opportunities to grow as professionals. I brought them in and I mentored them and I helped them become professionals and gave them an opportunity the rest of the world wouldn't give them. And part of that was because I knew their plight. I knew their struggle because it was my struggle. Getting to that point of success was something that, uh, you required overcoming a tremendous obstacles that most business leaders just don't face, right? Because you're building, I can't, I can't, you have to be able to operate in environments and operate in um, rooms that where some people are uncomfortable with you there. Some people, um, just bottom line is people that look like me aren't there, aren't in these rooms. But I had to get in these rooms. I had to not only get in the rooms, I had to own the room, right? I had to create value. And this is one of the things that I learned early on. And guys and girls, let me tell you something. You want to be successful, you learn how to make people money. And I learned early on that if I could make people money, that would give me that would give me power, or would give me the ability to do things that were seemingly impossible at sometimes, but um, m- providing not just value, but making people money, being a proven commodity. And whether you're trailblazing, and I don't use this term lightly, I'm certainly no Jackie Robinson, but I absolutely blazed a trail that, quite, if you look in my industry, people just, again, there weren't people like me, and certainly not companies like us. Anyway, so if you look at people that blaze trails, you can always track those trails back to the money. All right. Track those trails back to what's in it for them. As much as we watch movies like Jackie Robinson and 42, and where people talk about, you can think that Branch Rickey was just altruistic and like he just wanted to do the right thing. He wanted to do the right thing and put that black man in that position to be successful. Wasn't that at all. He wanted to win. He wanted to win baseball games. And he knew that that guy and others like him could help him win baseball games. And that's what I learned earlier on in my career and in business, is that if I could help, if I could help other people to win, that would put me in a position to where I could achieve some things that, quite frankly, I hadn't, that very few people achieve, especially people that come from my culture, my background in that particular industry. So I did that and set out to become the very best in class, the very best. And so it wasn't just enough to generate revenue, because the bar is higher, the standards higher. It wasn't just enough to generate revenue, but we had to be the best. We had to generate revenue. We had to take care of every customer. We had to make our partners our business partners look like rock stars to their bosses. Right. And so that's what I did. And it took a lot of work. Um, it took a lot of time. It took an extraordinary effort. And I take great pride in that. So when you're looking at that picture and you're seeing the end of that 13-year journey, what you are seeing is tremendous loss, that feels like death, like a piece of me dying, a close family member dying. That's what it felt like, um, and in some respects continues to. So the story behind that's just a small piece of the story behind the picture and why it is so impactful. And it's not just someone that took whose business ended. Um, lots of people's businesses fell, but a lot of those businesses fell early on. They never had success. They never had real success, and they didn't have to go through the same journey. They didn't have to. It wasn't as tied to their soul, not just money, like their soul, their their being was bigger than them. It was bigger than them. It was bigger than me. It wasn't just about me. It wasn't just about the logo. It was about the people, the impact. And so part of what has helped me over the years is to know just the amount of people that I did impact, and not just giving a job, but changing a life, um, helping them to become more, helping them become better, wives, husbands, parents, um, and so that makes me feel good. But when you are that invested, again, the impact of being that invested and the loss is tremendous. So that's a little bit of the story behind that, and just a little bit. There's a lot more, but that's just a little bit of that 13-year journey and why that picture was so important. And we live in a world where it's all snapshots and clips, and then we move on to what's next. Well, the second part of the story behind the story is you don't get to just move on when you are in that seat. You don't get to just, oh, close a chapter, move on. No, it still lingers. It's still there. I still have financial responsibility for for those companies. So those that have been through these things, they understand how this stuff works. Personal guarantees, and so while there's the emotional and mental toll, and and how that lingers on, so does the financial aspect of it. So to this day, I still have to manage financial responsibilities that came as a result of that company. So that's the second part. So the story continues, guys. So I just wanted to give a little more insight on that, and share a little more, bring better context to the post. If you haven't had the opportunity to check it out, feel free. It's on LinkedIn again, May 6th on my timeline. And yeah, for those of you that are going through this stuff or will go through it, I hope that the my share helps you to know that there is a tomorrow. And I'm not going to go full on cliche mode where it's like, oh, you know you had to go through this. Then no, you don't have to go through this, and I hope that none of you do have to go through it because it sucks. But if you do, hopefully my share lets you know that there is hope at the end of a tunnel that looks extremely dark right now. Looks extremely dark to you, but there is hope. And sometimes you just got to survive in order to thrive. So keep surviving. um, Time heals everything, right? The more time you can put in between that experience and action into new things and work, you got to fight. You know, I was fortunate to have my mother, my wife, having my back, my dad, and they were there to support me when I didn't want to get out the bed, or when I just needed to cry. you know. So hopefully you have those people in your life. Shout out to my therapist, Dr. Rocky, as well, who's helped me on my journey. So find some people to talk to, if at the very least. And I also want to shout out friends, random friends that I've spoken to over the last few years that have been through the experience that encouraged me, because they've been through it, and just allowed me to just listen to their story and share a little bit of mine. That is extremely powerful in itself, just to know that you are not alone in this thing. You're not alone, and that there are other people that have experienced it and are experiencing it. So hopefully my share does that for someone else out there. Okay, it's heavy, it's hard. But I think that's enough for today. And again, my advice: find some people to talk to that you trust, and know that you know you do have a little fight ahead of you. Just be willing to fight. You are stronger than you think you are. This will prove it. Just fight through it and let the time pass. And it absolutely does get better. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Day Drinking by Business and Bourbon. If you enjoyed our show, you can support it by rating us 5 stars and reviewing on Apple or your favorite podcast platform. Hey, I'd also like to invite you to join our movement to combat entrepreneur porn. You can do that by signing up for a free membership on the Business and Bourbon Network. You'll have access to exclusive content and forums where you can collaborate and uncover new business opportunities, jobs, investors, and further your business education. You can sign up at businessandbourbon.net. Again, that's businessandbourbon.net. Thank you for listening, and remember, your success is based on the little things you do each day, not the massive actions. Go out and execute the little things with discipline and consistency, and you'll be a winner in life and business.